We're back investigating whether tired driving is as bad as drink driving. We're not scientific, but we are very curious. It's 2 a.m. at this hotel in Bedford. Quentin and his team have had a couple of hours sleep, and now it's time for our Karen to wake them up.
2 minutes, just 2 minutes.
Morning.
Morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
With 12 hours to go before the driving test, no snoozing was allowed. Of course, it's not just our Karen who could disturb your sleep. Anyone with a new baby knows you don't get a proper night's kip for months. Working night shifts or returning from a long-haul flight is equally disruptive. Drink driving may be socially unacceptable, but driving whilst tired is sometimes unavoidable.
Fast forward to lunchtime and I'm in the chair with one of the easier fifth gear assignments, getting my team drunk.
Everybody's alcohol tolerance is different and any amount of booze can affect your driving, but in general, the legal limit equates to a couple of pints for chaps or 3 small glasses of wine for the ladies.
We checked we were over the limit with these test yourself kits, and isn't it amazing how hilarious tiny things are when you've had a few? Dark green and you're over the limit.
So, crunch time, the driving, on a specially designed route of twists and turns at Millbrook. With the cameraman in a sky crane watching every move, the idea is to stay between the lines, avoid the awkwardly parked car and parallel park at the end.
This sober and well-rested driver proved the course could be completed with no infringements and took 1 minute 28 seconds. How would the rest of us compare? First up, the tired guinea pigs.
So how do you feel?
I feel perfectly fine.
Wobbly legs a little bit, but feeling pretty good.
I feel like I need to go to the blood bank to get my eyes drained.
I feel absolutely shattered.
Lisa may have looked pale and dark-eyed, but she drove pretty well. She crossed a couple of lines and was 13 seconds slower than the benchmark time, but only because she made a meal of parking. Her hubby Graham was fine too, although that's maybe because when it came to the parked car, he cut the corner. Cheeky, but hardly dangerous. Then it was Adam's turn, whose tiredness did seem to affect his driving. It wasn't long before a little telltale sign sneaked in.
Get out of my way.
That little outburst is completely predictable. When you're tired and ratty, road rage is much more likely. And when it came to the parking manoeuvre, well, bang goes his no-claims bonus.
Temper, temper, Adam. Time for the drunken guinea pigs.
No, I'm feeling absolutely fine. So 3 pints. I've one more than maybe, or maybe 2 more, but I'm ready to drive.
No, I feel fine as well.
I've run out
I'm
3 or
fine,
4 and
I'm
I'm
fine.
perfectly all right.
Yeah, let's do it.
Would you drive, though? Would you drive?
No, I wouldn't.
What you've had now?
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't drive.
I can drive, but I wouldn't drive on the public roads.
No, but you don't
No.
actually feel that bad.
No, not at all.
Well, we'll see. Andy went first and was very steady, but found it hard to stay between the lines, and he felt the need to talk all the time.
Yeah, dizzy.
Oh, Jesus.
This would feel a lot better if I was sober, I'll leave round that.
The parking manoeuvre went very well,
Thank you.
till the end.
Forgot to put the handbrake on.
Next up was Emma, who was really trying to concentrate hard, but she dawdled round in 1 minute and 53 seconds, didn't make complete stops, and was well over the line at the parked car. Then it was Steve's go. Once he realised the engine wasn't running, that is.
I've selected first gear, look at this, and
Let's come out.
we get no driving.
The engine's not on.
Oh, that would be why then, wouldn't it?
It seems safe to say the alcohol had magnified his natural exuberance. The stop signs tended to get overlooked, the parked car was given a particularly wide berth, and he didn't hold back on the revs. And remember, a few moments ago he told us he felt fine. But it's not surprising. Booze makes you feel invincible.
Now, we know it's unscientific, but our results do tie in with other research. The tired drivers only made minor errors, and experts agree that constant stop-start driving like this helps stave off dozing, whereas the drunk driver's judgment had obviously been affected, and they made potentially much more dangerous mistakes. We revealed earlier that around a twisty route, driving while tired didn't seem as bad as driving while drunk. But now there's a harder test, a motorway at night. How will the monotony of mile after mile affect a snoozy me and a boozy Tiff?
We'll each spend 30 minutes lapping the closed bowl at Millbrook with an observer watching our every move. The challenge? To stay within one lane and maintain a speed of between 60 and 70 miles an hour.
I would go first, and having peaked and troughed all day, was definitely at a low ebb. With the observer aboard, it's that man again, we were on our way.
Quite surprised how knackered actually I am. I'm so tired, I'm having to wear my glasses, which I never ever do. And already I can feel it. I mean, I just don't know where I'm going, and I'm just following the white lines, wanting this to be over as quickly as possible.
So-called highway hypnosis is most likely to occur between 2 and 6 a.m. when your biorhythms are at a natural low. The accidents are potentially much worse because the driver asleep at the wheel simply won't brake before a crash, so the impacts are much faster. So what should you do?
Try and take 1 or 2 cups of coffee, caffeinated coffee or caffeinated drink, caffeine takes about 20 minutes to have an effect. So you have an opportunity there for doing something else, and that something else should be take a quick nap. Just settle back in your car seat, lock the car, make sure you're safe, and just shut your eyes for 10 to 15 minutes. Even though you're not necessarily sleeping, just shut and resting your eyes, having a quick zizz, that is effective. It's far better to do that whilst the coffee's kicking in than going for fresh air or exercise or take a break in other ways.
During my 30 minutes, I drifted across the white lines 3 times, and my speed wavered significantly 9 times, and I hadn't a clue. Then it was Tiff's turn. We'd kept him topped up all day and checked he was just over the legal limit.
It's -3. -3. Attention, it is essential that you read the instructions. Highway code takes precedence.
And with those thoughts ringing in his ears, we sent him away.
Now, of course, I know I'm over the limit, and yet somehow I feel very able to drive. It's quite frightening. I feel fine. I can just ease the speed up and go for a nice long cruise.
Which is exactly what he did, and seemed to keep an active mind the whole time.
Where's the clock in this car? His headlights are rubbish. I remember when I was breaking the speed record for comic relief at 200 miles an hour in a McLaren. It took about 39 seconds. Now it's taking 2 minutes. Temperature's gone up from -3 to -2, so it's getting warmer.
Tiff drove perfectly. In terms of steering a steady course and speed, it was an error-free performance.
But even though I'm over the limit, I know my reactions probably aren't very good. But just cruising, concentrate. I can do it.
But I still wouldn't have dared drive on the public road. I was fine on my own, but I couldn't be sure how well I'd be able to react if there was other traffic around me.
Driving sleep is probably worse than driving over the limit. In fact, we think from the research we've done here that more people are killed on our roads in this country through falling asleep at the wheel than being over the limit with alcohol. We all drive sleepy, and we've all had experience of doing that. People just don't realise that it is far more dangerous to drive while sleepy than actually slightly over the limit.
So, it's the morning after. He smells like a brewery and has a jackhammer hangover.
He's been yawning his head off all the time. But what have we learned?
Well, it's important to say that we haven't exactly done this with the rigours of science.
But there's no doubt that driving whilst drunk on the city course led to some dangerous over-exuberance.
But I know that if I'd had to go around that bowl for another 10 minutes, I would have started to snore, crashed, and died. So the next time someone says to me, I can't drive because I'm exhausted, I won't be calling them a fairy, because I'll know exactly how dangerous it really is.